Hi everybody, I'm Arglethump. This is a review for Sammy Keyes number 5, Sammy Keyes and the Curse of Moustache Mary. So the title is not accurate. There is no curse of Moustache Mary. Moustache Mary is a pioneer woman from the 1800s. She disguised herself as a man and got into a caravan, traveled all the way to California to start a new life on a grape farm. And she's actually pretty interesting. Sammy reads her diary, and it's interesting. She's a strong, independent woman, just like Sammy. You could easily see Sammy being a lot like Moustache Mary had Sammy lived back in the 1800s. So Mary's mystery is that she hid a sack of gold somewhere on the property, and she left this riddle leading to the gold. It's about a ridge and a rock. And at the very end, Sammy realizes, well, it's not about the ridge outside, it's about the ridge beam to the house. I had never heard the term ridge beam before. Apparently it has something to do with roofing. So the gold is hidden in the chimney. That's sort of the mystery of Moustache Mary, not the curse of Moustache Mary. And the actual mystery is sort of related to Moustache Mary. Moustache Mary's old shack was burned down, burned to the ground, and we don't know who did it. So it's an arson mystery. And there are like 3 suspects. So 2 of the suspects are the men who live on the property. One of them really wants to sell the property and just leave because the property is worth a lot of money. It's just a worthless old shack. I think he was arguing for it to be destroyed even before it was burned down to the ground. So it's very suspicious on his part. And then we have the rival pioneer family. So there's been a big feud between Moustache Mary's family and the rival family. So their rivalry has gone back hundreds of years. And we have Lucinda, so she's like 80 or something. She's pretty similar to what Sammy will be like when she's 80 years old. Again, a very strong-willed, independent woman, just like Moustache Mary. And she kind of likes stringing people along for fun. So we meet her. She's walking down the road with her giant pet pig, just taking a stroll with the pig. And it's about 10 minutes before she says, oh yeah, I'm actually taking the pig to the rival family's house. Oh, actually, they're having a funeral today. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to open up the casket and look at the guy there. Oh, yeah, he shot his brother right in front of me. And so, really complicated story that she just seems to enjoy telling in a wacky way, just to mess with people, I think. So, I like Lucinda, and she takes a shine to Sammy and gives Sammy Moustache Mary's diary, which I kind of wish we had a whole book of just the diary. It was very interesting. Okay, so that's it for the mystery. I want to say more. It was a very well done mystery. The author, as always, does a great job of including small little clues which come together in a great way at the end. So when you reread this book, you'll be slapping yourself for not realizing who the culprit was sooner and what the crime was sooner. And I think I'll get into this. So I did get called out on my previous review for saying book number 4 was my favorite of the series, because I said that about book 3 and book 2. Well, this book is ending that streak. I will not say book 5 is my favorite, because it's got a lot of adult content. And I mean drugs. Lots of drug talk in this book. Also, underage drinking alcohol. So I know in my previous review I mentioned Heather Acosta. She was smoking cigarettes in the school bathroom. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Well, she smokes something a little stronger than cigarettes in this book. Does she smoke anything, or is she just drinking? I'm not sure. Anyway, it's a wild teenager party, and there's just a lot of drug talk, and this ties in really well with the mystery, because at the end we learn the culprit is making meth. The culprit has a meth lab, and Sammy goes into the meth lab and realizes what it is and who the culprit must be, and she has to escape. It's the pig. The pig leads leads her into the meth lab. Two major clues in this book are found because of the pig. The pig finds the gas can, indicating that it was arson. That old Mary's shack was burned to the ground. And the pig also finds the meth lab for Sammy. So this pig is a great detective. This is a good detective pig. But yeah, really scary scene at the end though, when the culprit shows up and they try to lock him in the meth lab, and he like claws his hand out, grabbing Sammy's ankle and like pulling on her, and there's blood, and it's gross and really intense. And so I don't think this is my favorite book of the series because it's got just too much adult content for me. So it's just all this drug talk. I could definitely see, it's probably fine for middle schoolers, but for elementary school readers, and I imagine this series has a lot of elementary school readers, you might want to skip this one because it's got a lot of drugs and alcohol and stuff. It's like, whew. But it also has Casey, who apparently is a fan favorite, and I can see why. This guy is like dream boyfriend, such a nice, understanding guy, and he's not perfect, right? Like, because he's at the wild teenager party, but he's the good guy who's not drinking or smoking along with them. He's just there to help Sammy get her skateboard back. That's right. That's why Sammy's at the party. Taylor, some guy named Taylor, called saying, "Hey, I've got the skateboard. You gotta come and get it." He was just lying in order to get Marissa at the party because he likes Marissa. Yeah, that guy's a lying jerk. But Casey was at the party, and he's a great guy, and Sammy's friends tease her because she likes Casey. You have to like Casey. And then, of course, the next morning, where Sammy's wearing these really silly pink heart pajamas, of course Casey sees her in the pajamas. Like, her friends assure her, "Oh, don't worry, he's not going to see you." Oh, come on, he sees her. Officer Borsch was interesting in this book. He's kind of like Sammy's friend now, which I like. I don't think he's like the greatest police officer character I've ever met, but he's definitely better than Chief McGinnis from the Nancy Drew series, because the Nancy Drew series they're really inconsistent about what Chief McGinnis is like. So sometimes he's Nancy's best friend, and sometimes he's the cop who really hates her. We see that here in the Sammy Keyes series. Sometimes Borsch really hates her, and then other times he's sort of her best friend, and then other times he's like the comedy relief. The pig like smacks him in the butt a couple of times. But it's more consistent because the series is all written by one person, right? So I like how we see all these different sides of Officer Borsch. Whereas with the Nancy Drew series, all those books were written by different people, and that's the reason why the police officer, Chief McGinnis, is different in every book. There's like no continuity there with poor Chief McGinnis. Especially like the Girl Detective series. There's like 4 books in a row where he has 4 different distinct personalities. But I like it much better here in the Sammy Keyes series. So yeah, lots of Officer Borsch in this book. This book takes place on New Year's because every book has taken place in a different month. So now it's January, and I kind of don't like it when they do that with books and movies and stuff like that, where the January episode is New Year's Eve, because, well, then half of the January book doesn't take place in January. And I kind of made a joke about that here in my book, Stay at Home Detective 2, Harm for the Holidays, where I took this picture like 3 or 4 years before the book was actually written. So it actually takes place, a lot of the book takes place in November, and one of the characters calls out the author for it. So same thing happens with this book. It's like, not so much January book as a New Year's Eve book. And that's why there's the big wild teenager party. The story is Sammy is going out of town with Dot. Dot apparently moved. Dot and her family has moved to a pretty far away place. I guess it's not too far away. It must be 30, 40, I don't know, 20 miles away. But still, I'm like, Why did Dot move away? I thought she was a fun character. Yeah, she hasn't done much since book 2, but I wouldn't have kicked her out of the town. So yeah, Sammy and all her friends are having New Year's Eve at Dot's place. And it is a longer book than the previous one. So all the previous books were under 200 pages. This one is about 230, 240 pages. So it's about 40, 50 pages more than the previous books in the series. And I'm not sure if I like that or not. It does take a while for the mystery to get started. So Mary's shack burns down on page 75, or chapter 8. That's when Officer Borsch first appears. And that's sort of a long time to wait for the mystery. Now, Sammy's personal life drama was, oh my gosh, it's so dramatic. Oh, I didn't even get to the big drama. I really did like Casey. I thought he was interesting. I thought like the really wild teenager party stuff was kind of borderline. I didn't really like that so much, but I did like Casey at the party, and how Sammy and her friends just sort of hide in the corner playing Pac-Man instead of participating in all the inappropriate stuff. It's weird because Sammy and Casey kind of do have a lot of talk. She's like, why are you friends with people who are so involved with drugs? And his answer's like, well, we've known each other since we were kids. And there's also the guy Brandon. Brandon, I think he was mentioned in book 1. He's Marissa's cousin. Sammy sort of has a crush on him. And she calls him, and he's basically like, he was friends with the older brother. He dropped out once his friend became a pothead, and started doing a lot worse than pot. It's like he cut off all ties with that guy. It's like, well, you know, he got kicked out of the swim team. I really haven't seen him since we stopped being friends. And I get the feeling Sammy would like Casey to do the exact same thing. She would like Casey to stop hanging out with these people that are into drugs and alcohol. And yeah. Oh, big plot twist. Sorry, I was building up to this. About 2/3, 70% of the way through the book, we learn that Casey is Heather's brother. Oh my gosh. He's actually Casey Acosta. How did she not know that the cute guy who she kind of likes is actually the brother of her arch nemesis? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll admit I totally misread the scene when I first read it through. So it's like she goes to Casey's house, and it's morning time at Casey's house, and Heather's there. Her hair is all messed up, and she's wearing an extra large t-shirt. I'm like, what is Heather making out with Casey? What did they do something together? But no, it's they're brother and sister. They just live with different parents. That's all. And it was still very shocking. So and Sammy's friends give her grief. Something I didn't like so much in this book, very minor complaint, is that Sammy's friends aren't always there with her. So she's got like her 3 friends, but they're not always there. And so what usually happens is somebody will be confused. Like one of them missed out on the Casey stuff at the party, or one of them missed out on the stuff at the house with Moustache Mary. And so every now and then a character will be like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Because she's not up to date on what all the stuff that's happened. And that just kind of annoyed me how that happened a couple of times. That's all. Totally minor complaint. I suppose it would be inevitable that there would be a love story in one of the Sammy Keyes books. Just seems like something that would eventually happen, that she'd like a boy. And she doesn't want to like Casey, and that's why I think it works so well. Is like she likes him, but she doesn't really want to like him, especially because her friends are giving her so much grief. It's like, ooh, Sammy's in love with Casey. And that's sort of the way people act sometimes in middle school. And I think that's everything I have to say about this book. Oh, one extra thing. 2 extra things. The illustrations. I haven't talked about the illustrations in this series yet. Illustrations done by Dan Yaccarino. I don't think that's his best work. I've seen him do better illustrations. It's weird. Like, they have these rectangles, these small rectangle pictures, which are just thrown randomly at the end of different chapters. And some of them are really creepy. Like, some of them are just like the picture of grandma, and then they just color reverse it so it's all dark and scary. I did not like those. I did not like those. And the ones of Casey, I think it's supposed to be Casey, it's like his head looks like a beehive. So it's like got crisscross lines on it. And I don't know what those ears are. They look like dangly bracelets. So maybe it's not supposed to be Casey. But they were freaky pictures. And I was just like, oh, did not like that. This book came out in the year 2000. Just thought I'd point that out. You'd think they might have pointed that out in the text, right? Because, you know, New Year's Eve 2000, that was a big deal. But no, they don't point that out in the text at all. One final thing. Apparently, I am Google's 12th result for this book. So I was looking up this book so I could get a picture of the cover so I could use it in the thumbnail. And guess what? I was number 12. My review for the Sisters of Mercy. That was picture number 12 when I looked up Sammy Keyes and the Curse of Moustache Mary. Which makes no sense. Why is my review for book number 3 a search result for book number 5? I don't get it. But how would I rate this book? I don't know, because this book isn't my cup of tea. I didn't like the adult stuff in it. I did think, like, the wild party stuff, like, gosh, if it had not been drugs, if it had just been, like, a party that was a little too wild, something like, okay, it's a wild party without any adult supervision, then I probably would have liked this book better, but then that would totally ruin the big surprise ending where the culprit is actually running a meth lab. So, gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea what I'd rate this book. I'd say it's definitely a good book in the series. It's longer than normal. Yeah, it is probably as good as the previous books. That's what I'd rate it as. But I did not like it so much because it took a while to get to the mystery and because of all the drug content. I'm gonna have to slap a warning on this video. That's something YouTube makes you do, by the way. When I submit a video, I have to say, well, does this video have any swears in it? Well, no. Does it have any violence or police? I'm like, well, there is some police stuff in this, but I didn't really have any violence in it, right? It's like, okay, well, there's any information about drugs? Yes, I'm gonna have to say yes. Yes, there is information about drugs in this video. I talk about drugs a lot because that's in the book. So that's something I'm gonna have to do when I upload this video. Anyway, I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye. Next month I'll be reviewing book number 6, the Hollywood Mummy. Yeah, so check that out.